Great. So, good morning. Thanks for joining us today for our April meeting. I'm Stephanie Cavino, the Executive Director of the Blackstone Watershed Collaborative. I think I know all of you and you all know that, but we can go around and do some quick intros. Um, name and affiliation, and thank you, Kaylee, for thinking about a question here. But what's one personal or professional win you've had recently? We'll go over a lot of wins that we've had actually professionally. We've got some exciting news to share about some grants later. Um, but I honestly feel like it's a win to just not feel overwhelmed. I think during grant season, I had a good 3 weeks of every single day thinking that I was not like getting to where I needed to be. So it's really nice to have the past few days of some breathing room and feeling like I'm not behind. So I've enjoyed that. Kaylee, how about you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kaylee McLaren. I'm the restoration manager at the Blackstone Watershed Collaborative. Um, One professional win is that we just wrapped up our culvert training in West Warwick, which was really great. We certified 23 new lead observers in the non-tidal and the condition NAC protocol. And it was a lot of fun in the field, as it always is. And yeah, it was a great group.
Thanks, Kaylee. Kevin.
Good morning, everyone. Kevin Rice, Finance and Program Manager for the Blackstone Watershed Collaborative. Personal win just this morning. I got my contacts in. It took 30 minutes. My eyeballs aren't built for them. I only need them for sports, but I have an eye exam today that I have to have them in. So, big personal win, only 30 minutes, which is a new record.
It'll get better. It'll get easier. I've been there. It will. This takes time. Let's go Peter and then Danielle and Judy. Oh, Peter, you muted instead of unmuted. There you go. Ooh, I still don't have your audio. You might need to switch your audio to your phone. Mm-mm. I'm gonna let you play with that for a minute and we'll come back. Danielle, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Danielle Moore. I'm the Watershed Outreach Manager for the Narragansett Bay Estuary Program. And I'm going to do one of each. So, the professional win is that for our Watershed Outreach and Education RFP, we had 26 proposals, which is crazy, but all really exciting projects. So, I'm excited about that and about the projects that we'll go through and be able to select with our committee. And a personal win is that I'm getting married in June and it's finally starting to feel like the fun stuff is happening and I'm not just paying for stuff. So, yay.
That's so exciting, Danielle. Thanks for sharing. Peter, how's that audio looking?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Good
All
job.
right. Thank you. The Water Quality Summit a couple weeks ago was great. And it's not my person, but it's a great relief on my Concom. My conservation agent in Mendon was awarded Agent of the Year. So she is great.
That's awesome. Thanks, Peter. Sarah. Oh, sorry. I said Judy, but I think I lost Judy for a minute. Sarah, go ahead.
Hi, y'all. Yeah, I'm Sarah. You, she, her pronouns. I'm an education coordinator with Broad Brook Wildlife Sanctuary in Worcester, and I would say I haven't been feeling high on the personal wins lately, but with work, I was excited that we had youth participation in the Worcester County Climate Summit last weekend. And I'm here with CL, and I'll pass to them too.
Hi, I'm CL. I'm an intern at Broad Meadowbrook from Worcester Tech. I'm a senior there. Um, and I guess like a professional win is just like being here, being an intern here.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us, CL. What program at Worcester Tech are you in?
I'm in environmental science.
Amazing. We love it. Thanks for joining us.
Hmm.
Nick, do you want to go next? And then we can do Heidi and Elsie.
Sure. Hi, everyone. This is Nick Cohen. I'm a senior environmental planner at the Horsley Witten Group. The win I'll share is our team on the H&H study was finally able to finish field work. It took a little longer than we had hoped because of all the snow and cold weather and freezing water bodies, but they were able to finish that in late March, and now we can keep moving forward, which is exciting to get into the modeling that hopefully we'll be sharing with folks on this call later in the summer.
Thanks, Nick.
I guess I'm next. Hi everyone. Heidi Ritchie, Director of Policy and Advocacy at Mass Audubon. I guess professional win. It's not mine only per se. It's a coalition win. All the provisions of Mass Ready and that just passed in the Senate, including there's a provision on rodenticides that will allow communities to regulate rodenticides at the local level on private land. It's not the full ban, but it's a big step. And the communities that already had filed home rule petitions will be presumed to have adopted this new local option. So we still have to get through the House, but it's a huge win. We had over 5,000 people responded to our action alert on this. And then, of course, there were many other thousands through the other coalition members who were mobilizing people. So thanks to everyone who participated in that. I would say there's other provisions of concern in the bill that are going to severely limit the ability of municipalities to have local wetland bylaws. So I'm going to be working on that with MACC. My personal win is that I adopted a dog out of Texas. I recently lost another dog to illness, but we have a new dog here, and so we're adjusting in our household with our existing dog and the new one.
Well, that's exciting. Congratulations, Heidi.
Thank you.
Heidi and I had a lot of long car rides together when we worked together, and most of our conversation was around dogs. Elsie, do you want to go next?
Hi, thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm in the Technical Watershed Association as a volunteer and also the Blackstone River Coalition, River Coalition, right? As a volunteer. And I live on Cooks Pond and Technic Brook. And I'm a passionate lover of all things waterways along the Blackstone River. So I think the most exciting news for us is that our daughter is engaged, and her fiance asked for her hand in marriage back in September, and then they got together numerous times. We never heard anything, and so I thought, oh, maybe he changed his mind. And then they formally announced it right after our granddaughter's wedding. So it's pretty exciting times for us, and so I can really congratulate, is it Danielle, on her upcoming wedding. So that's wonderful.
Thanks, Elsie. Oh, sorry, go ahead. And congratulations. Danica, and then Molly, and then Serped, whoever, I'm not sure who's on that.
Good morning. I'm Danica Belknap. I am the SNEP Network Liaison for Rhode Island and Mass. So SNEP is the Southeast New England Program Network, Technical Assistance Network. And a recent win that's kind of top of mind right now is had the opportunity to attend the NEWIPIC, the New England Interstate Water Pollution Control Commission. It's a really long acronym conference, the Non-Point Source Conference last week in Plymouth. And we gave a presentation about training, a stormwater planning training series that the SNEP network offers for municipalities. It's been a really great training, and we've been doing it for 5 years now. So we presented on kind of like the model of how we run it, and some successes and lessons learned. It was a great presentation. And it was also the first time that I was able to kind of represent SNEP network in my new role, because I'm pretty recent to this role. So that was exciting and it was great. It was a great conference and great presentation and a lot of great discussion. So that's mine.
Thanks, Danica.
Hey, I'm Molly. I'm here with Rhode Island Beaver Management. We do beaver coexistence, and a professional win I had yesterday had a particularly complex wetland application I put into the DEM. Got approved almost yesterday.
Nice. That's definitely a win. Thanks, Molly. And Molly will be our speaker in a few minutes. Is it Sarah at Serped there?
Yes, it's me, Sarah Singh. Okay, professional wins. I'm really happy to have gained a teammate, a colleague on the Taunton River Watershed Stewardship Plan, and this new colleague is Lori Watson. She just joined Serped. Personal wins. My volunteer group, Rewilding Massachusetts, we just got permission to build a mandala garden at Boyden Wildlife Refuge. So that got approved by the Taunton Conservation Commission, and then they offered us money, which we didn't even ask for. And then Friends of Boyden offered us money, and it's just nice to get money without having to ask.
It sure is. Yeah, definitely good win. Well, congratulations on that project. That'll be great. Judy, we got you back. Do you want to go next?
Hey, yeah, sorry about that. My boss gave me a jingle real quick and I had to
That's
jump
okay.
off. Yeah, Judy Rondo. I'm the non-point source outreach coordinator with the non-point source management section in the watershed planning program at Mass DEP. A professional win, maybe it's not quite a win, but it's a goal that I've been working for. So before I came to Mass DEP, where I've been for about 4.5 years, I worked for one of the conservation districts in Connecticut. And so one of my personal goals as a new staffer in Mass DEP was connecting with the conservation districts in Massachusetts. And for 4 years, I've been talking about connecting with the conservation districts in Massachusetts. And we were finally able to schedule a meeting with all of the active commission districts, rather, yesterday, and had a really, really nice in-depth talk with them about their programs and how we could potentially support them with our two Federal Clean Water Act grants. So that was kind of a long time coming. So I guess that was a win, right? Yeah, I feel pretty
Absolutely.
excited about it.
For sure. That's what I've been saying I want to do with land trusts, get all the different land trusts in the watershed together, and I haven't done it yet. So I get it.
Well,
How about Allison and then Katie and then Bill and Sandy?
Good morning, everyone. Allison from Rhode Island DOT Environmental Division. I feel like lots of wins. It's been great. Professionally, DOT is in our 90% design phase for our Protect grant. So that's 100 stormwater treatment units throughout Narragansett Bay watershed, so all over the state. About or more than half of them are in EJ areas. So we are really trying hard. So we're at 90%. So like that is a small miracle. It's great. And then personally, my oldest son got his license and a 300,000 beater Honda Civic.
Nice.
So I am in my freedom, but terrified era of my son is driving and my younger son has his personal chauffeur. So I don't know what to do with all of my time. I'm making quilts. So it's great.
I love it. That's great. Thanks, Allison. Katie, do you want to go next?
Hi, good morning. My name is Katie Liming. I'm the Lakes and Ponds coordinator for the city of Worcester. And one professional win recently was that yesterday I had the opportunity to attend a cyanobacteria monitoring collaborative meeting that the EPA Region 1 hosts. So I got to meet some really great professionals from mostly state agencies who are doing fantastic work all across the region. And this was the first time I'd ever been on an EPA campus. So despite recent challenges, it was really inspiring to be able to be there because it was the work of the EPA that I learned about as like an elementary schooler that inspired me to go into this field. So that was exciting.
That's awesome. Thanks, Katie. Uh, Bill, you're finally on and you don't get to jump in post introductions. You have to introduce yourself.
Steph, how you doing?
Good.
I'm Bill Napolitano. I'm associated with a whole bunch of people, and I guess professionally, that's the big thing for me. I've seen just about all of the groups that I'm working with achieve milestone victories in their short and long-term planning recently, and it's wonderful to watch people succeed and to watch people kind of come together and figure out how to succeed. So that's great. I always love that. So I'm looking forward to probably another 2 to 5 years post-retirement working with these people based on their plans. One big thing, though, was I recently attended an Ag Commission meeting down in Carver. It was a regional Ag Commission meeting with an old friend, Pete Westover. And we decided we're going to try to update the Ag Commission handbooks and how to engage with your communities and how to write good work plans. So I had all the old documents from the Stone Age. They were still on tablets, and they were amazed I had them. But we're going to try to rework them. Personally, I found my yard after this winter. I finally got all the timber out of the yard, and now my lawn is taunting me, saying the grass will grow and you will have to cut me soon. So that's the downside.
Thanks, Bill. I mean, I'll take the warm weather though. Heather, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Heather Perry. I'm from the Blackstone River Coalition. And I guess a professional win recently would be just yesterday, I had a person that called because they were having some issues with beavers in their area and they wanted to know about testing. But they like the beavers. They don't mind the beavers, but they were wondering about our water quality testing. So that made me feel good because they thought to reach out to us based on our, water quality testing. And I was able to help her a little bit and set up a meeting with her. And I just feel like kind of learning more like who everybody is and making connections and stuff. So which this meeting is super helpful with. So thank you.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Thanks, Heather. Great. Okay, so from here, I'm gonna hand it off to Molly Hastings, who runs Rhode Island Beaver Management. So great transition, Heather. I'll stop
Yeah.
sharing and
Thank you so much for having me. Heather, I'm so glad you met some beaver lovers. I have a super short presentation I'm going to do today. I have another meeting I have to go to at 10:40. I'm going to try and keep it super short. But so I run Rhode Island Beaver Management. You might be asking, what what are you managing? What does that mean? I do beaver coexistence. So I'm going to share my screen somehow. So easy. You see this little guy, and then I can present it. Is it a full screen presentation for you guys?
yes, now it is.
Okay, amazing. So I'm going to present a little bit about beaver coexistence. For me, this started when I moved on to a beaver pond. I knew literally nothing about beavers. I was like, amazing, a pond. That's so cool. I bought this house, and then the water level immediately started rising. And I was like, oh, um, I've just put all my money into this house, and now it looks like it's gonna flood. So I called the DEM, and they were like, well, we can come out and shoot them. And I was like, oh, no, thank you. I don't think that's the right thing to do here. Um, and I called Fish and Wildlife, and they were like, we can come out and trap them. For those of you who don't know, trapping is where the beaver is trapped underwater and drowned or asphyxiated. It is not trapping and moving them somewhere else. Um, that's illegal here in Massachusetts, most of the eastern states. So I was sort of like, this is crazy. We can't be outsmarted by a rodent. Like we went to the moon. I was like, I can't accept this. So I did some research online and I learned about beaver deceivers. Um, some of you may have heard of these because of their catchy name. Um, and I was like, oh, amazing. I can get someone to install a beaver deceiver. So I called DEM back and I'm like, Ken, do you know anyone who does this? And they're like, no, we've never heard of that. No one here does that. I was like, okay, thank you so much. But what I did find was a training program in Massachusetts called Beaver Corps that would train me to become a person who installs beaver deceivers and other flow devices. Um, Beaver Corps is run through the Beaver Institute. Often when I tell the story, people are like, is this a joke? It's not a joke. It's a real thing they run. They have a conference called BeaverCon. Um, so I went to Beaver Corps and did this training program so that I could save my house. And also, like a completely sane and normal person, I then made my entire life about beavers and started Rhode Island Beaver Management. Um, so just to talk about beavers, I'm in Rhode Island and Rhode Islanders love Rhode Island. So that's why it's Rhode Island Beaver Management. I do work in Massachusetts. So there were an estimated 400 million beavers in North America pre-European colonization. That's like every waterway, every single one, basically. Not in Florida because of crocodiles and alligators, but down through Mexico, up to Canada, across the Great Plains. But then, due to the popularity of beaver hats, they were trapped down to 200,000. So that first wave of trappers that came, like, swept across the continent, they were like, this is amazing. We're going to make so much money. And they did make a lot of money. And they would kill every beaver they could find to try and discourage other people from following them, so that they could get all of the beaver money. So beavers disappeared from New England. There's like a lot of people here who probably your parents would be like, there's no beavers here. Or they're like, there weren't beavers here when I was a kid. But maybe some of us, our experiences are like, yeah, there were beavers sometimes when I was a kid, but way more now. Um, in Rhode Island, the first beaver lodge, after that sort of extinction event, was found in 1976, and the DEM has a Polaroid of it, but they actually lost it. Super cool of them. So, what do beavers do? They build dams to form ponds. They like to be in the water because they're very clumsy on land, so they're much safer in the water. They're agile. They build lodges. They're 2 stories usually inside. They have a upstairs bedroom and downstairs kitchen. It's very cute. They have food caches. So this is like their pantry that's outside of their lodge underwater, so that when the water freezes over and the entrance to their lodge is underwater, so they can no longer like get to the trees and other plants, they have this whole pantry underwater that they can get to. So this is a picture of it like unfrozen and then frozen. They make canals that are like their super highways, so they can swim extremely fast on these and like get to where they're going. They use their back feet and their front feet for excavation. They chew trees and construct with them, and they eat plants. They mark their territory with scent mounds. If you get really close to it, you can kind of smell the castoreum, which is the vanilla scented stuff that comes from their anal glands. That was used as vanilla flavoring for a really long time. Yeah, I know, kind of gross. They garden. This is an oak tree that they chewed down that then was coppiced. So people are like, they kill trees, which is sort of true a lot of the time, but sometimes not. Um, Mostly they make a mess. So a lot of people who see beaver engineered landscape, like fully beavers, don't love it. Okay, someone's in the chat. I don't know if I can click on that and what will happen to me.
I will keep you posted. Don't worry about that.
Okay, thank you. So when I talk about beavers, I'm really talking about water and what they do to water. What beavers do, this is an after and before. I need to switch it around, but so we have this like squiggly river. The bed is incised, so it's like very deep, kind of V shape. Um, and beavers move into this land and they spread the water laterally. They create varied habitat, so the riparian zone expands, which is, like from underwater to not underwater. They slow the water down, which allows it to sink, which recharges groundwater, aquifers, etc., and creates these transitional zones that encourage biodiversity, and also like reconnect that river to its floodplain. So, what are the benefits of these beaver engineered landscapes? We've got a lot of them. You get protection from wildfire, flooding, and drought. That is because that water is held in place and then it can sink. And so we get higher groundwater, which means less dead wood. We have a land that's less prone to drought, which means less land that a wildfire can sweep quickly. Biodiversity is increased because of that riparian zone. There's 33% more plant life. 33% more plant life means more bugs. Different bugs means different amphibians. That keeps going. Their dams trap sediment, so sediment that was going to be like swept down from a fast flowing stream will then get trapped and kind of raise the stream bed and repair that incised stream bed. The dam will trap nitrogen and phosphorus runoff from agricultural fields and also act as a carbon sequesterer. There's a ton of research coming out of Europe right now on this. There's a huge article recently, people keep sending it to me, about research in Switzerland about this. So we love beavers. If you didn't love beavers before, I hope you love them now. By slowing that water and holding it in place and then spreading it across the landscape, beavers create the conditions for ecosystems to thrive. That climate resilience that we're kind of pushing for, it depends on our relationship to the water cycle, which we are not really in positive relationship right now. We've got all these extreme water events, flooding, drought, wildfire, and climate resilience for us begins with restoring that water cycle, and beavers can be a key part in that. So, how do we keep beavers in place? What Heather talked about was somebody who was like, I'm okay with the beavers, but a lot of people are like, get these beavers out of my life. I live with beavers. It is hard. They are it is a constant battle I'm waging with them. And like the land that I live on would be worth a lot more money if it was not flooded. That's like a choice that I actively make and that other landowners are weighing. So beaver coexistence, it is like it's a very emotional thing for a lot of the people that I install for. It's like a values-based choice. So the things that I install are coexistence devices, quote unquote. There's a bunch of different ones: flexible pond leveler, trapezoidal fence, Python fence. They all use beaver instincts against beavers. To kind of play to their weaknesses so that they can like stay there, but we do a little trickery. So you see there's a lot of fences in this. That is to keep them from feeling the water pressure change when water goes through that pipe. Beavers dam by sound, but they also dam by feeling the water pressure. Their tail is a sensor. So when water goes through a smaller space, its pressure increases. So by keeping them away from that opening, they can't feel that that's where the water is escaping. Sometimes they're really, really, really smart and they do outsmart me and anyways, but that's like 1% of the time. But yeah, these are some photos I just pulled from online. There's a lot of photos online that are super wrong. Diagrams, pictures of people who watched a YouTube video and then installed. And it doesn't like this is a complicated thing where there's a lot of specifics to installation and to the materials. So I'm not saying that you should go out and do this on your own because there's a lot there. And when people do go out and do it on their own, and it doesn't work, then they come back to their city council, whoever, and they're like, beaver deceivers don't work. Um, and that is not good for me because when a professional installs, it has like a 99% success rate. Um, Tree protection is also an important part of what I do, which for me, I don't really think of beavers as killing trees, just because of the way like the cycle of carbon and nutrients works. That's not really like part of the equation of like death. Um, but people who are coexisting with beavers have a lot of feelings about their trees dying. And me too, I get it. So offering techniques for tree protection, like these kind of cages, paint mixed with sand for like 2 feet, 2 or 3 feet of the trunk can be really helpful. Then when the beavers chew it, they're like, "Ugh, I didn't like that." Um, I don't really have time to continue this. So much more to say. Um, so one of the things that I'm hoping to branch into is creating the conditions for beavers to return. So there's a lot of places where there could be beavers. The land has the capacity to hold beavers, but our cultural capacity, the like annoyance, nuisance animals, like not having control over what's happening with the water, that's really hard for people and for governments. And so that's where I have a lot of interest in intervening is like doing education outreach to kind of change that um, mindset, and then doing things to encourage beavers to return. That might look like low tech process based restoration. It might look like planting beaver food, um, any of these things. I don't have time to do all my many more slides, so I'm going to go to my end. So we are doing some research in Rhode Island. At URI, we have partnered with these two researchers, and so we're running a couple different studies tracking beavers in Rhode Island. But I am very interested in other collaborations, which is why I kind of am here to present and um, offer beaver perspectives. So yeah, that's what I have to say today.
Thank you, Molly. Apologies about the timing. I would have had you go first if I'd realized that before we did intros. It's
Okay.
a time-consuming piece. Thank you. If folks have questions, we only have a couple minutes, but you can put them in the chat or raise your hand. I had one question if you could just talk about the management of once you install a beaver deceiver. Does it require a lot of maintenance?
Yeah, so I would say it requires maintenance once a year. We do like a maintenance contract where we basically like guarantee it for so many years, the whole installation, um, as long as we can be the ones maintaining it. And usually we'll come out in the spring and just do one like round. The beavers, they're industrious, so they're always like putting twigs in mud places. Um, and so a lot of that work is just like clearing that out, getting the waders on, getting in your kayak, kind of moving the muck about in the spring.
Great, thank you. Heidi?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the Mass ECAN partnering with Beavers information. I'll put it in the chat. I think it was Fuss and O'Neill they worked with to develop kind of a guidance and approach for municipalities and landowners to determine, is this a place where we can coexist with beavers and should encourage that? Is it a place where maybe we need to manage it, like with these flow control devices? Or is it a place where, sorry, beavers, you just can't live here and they're going to be trapped or whatever? Um, so, and thank you, Molly,
Amazing.
for it's amazing how you took this on. I'm very impressed. It's great
Yeah,
stuff.
I wouldn't have taken it on if there was anyone else in Rhode Island that cared about beavers, but there was no one else to do it.
Thanks, Molly. I used to live at a Mass Audubon Wildlife Sanctuary, Pierpont Meadow, and we had beavers there in the pond. And I always loved to watch them, but they would slap their tails, I assume meaning I'm angry about something, and my dog would be like, "Ooh, you keep slapping your tail. I should probably follow you." So that was a fun balance as well. Um,
Totally.
it I know you've got to go. Is any last thoughts or questions? And if you do have other questions, feel free to still put them in the chat. We can compile them and we'll share them with Molly and get you some answers. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming. I definitely learned a lot of different things, including beavers' anal glands are smell of vanilla. So that was an interesting fact.
Yeah.
Um,
We're
thanks
not
for
all so
coming.
lucky.
Yeah, we'd love to talk to you again sometime.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Great. All right. That was a quick presentation today. Sorry about that, guys. Um, we're going to switch back into the rest of our meeting. Let me re-share. Oop, I have to put it in presentation mode first. One second. Okay. Okay. Great. Um, we don't have any academic partnership or updates unless anyone else has anything that they would like to share. Okay. For access, we keep putting this up here, but it's actually I drove over the Blackstone River this morning in Millbury and thought to myself, "Ooh, I really want to get back on the river." And it's actually kind of warm enough where we could. I know it's going to get chilly again, but if you want to get out in the river, we would love to take you. Um, I switched up this picture. This is the director of for emergency management in Worcester. And for not to speak for him, but when we were in person last fall, he noted that how different it was to think about floodplains when you're on a river. So when you have this kind of flat land around you, you can think about, oh, the water has somewhere to go. And when you're in a very channelized section, there's nowhere for the water to go. And so it floods our infrastructure there. So just seeing things from the water can be a really different perspective, and we would love to take you. For Bikeway and Greenway, I also don't have any updates. If anyone else has anything. Okay, we'll keep going. There's plenty of updates later. So for Fish Passage, just a reminder again, registration is open. We opened it on April 1st, so you can go to our website and go to events and register for the fourth annual Fish Migration Paddle Parade. We also have a craft day the week before on the Thursday to get folks together and make some fun fishy crafts. We encourage you to bring your own little crafts or costumes, whatever it is. We will have Chip from the Rhode Island Football Club there. We're going to have Indigenous drummers and a flute player. We're going to do some fun fish hats and some other lino print cuts craft, which I have not done yet, but sounds fun. So there's a lot going on, and we would love for you to join us. On the technical side of Fish Passage, I also wanted to note that we have submitted Rhode Island DEM with TNC and Fuss and O'Neill have submitted an application to permit the vertical slot fishway that goes around the lowest two dams. So that application is now available if you want to look at the plans. We'd love to share that with you. This is linked, but we'll get you the link as well. I don't know if anyone can grab that and put it in the chat. Anything else on Fish Passage? Any questions or other comments? Okay. For water quality, just a note that we did receive, so as someone else said, it's nice to get money when you don't ask for it. We didn't ask for this, but someone reached out. Health Resources in Action via the Mass Department of Public Health, working with Root Cause Solutions Exchange, had some funding for capacity building to environmental organizations that were also working in some capacity in public health. And so they reached out and said, could you use this funding and how would it fit into your work? And we said, yes, we definitely could. And combined sewer overflow is something that we work on and has an intersection with public health, and we could use a little more assistance with. So We are using this in part to support a combined sewer overflow education and outreach program. So we've created these postcards. We have two different ones. One is shows flooding in downtown Worcester in Cambridge Street, and the other one shows the river. And thank you to Commonplace Landscape and Planning that designed these postcards for us and for all of our partners that have signed on to it. So our working group will meet next on May 12th. But in the meantime, we're working to get these postcards out there. So if you live in the city of Worcester or just downstream, we would love to get some of these out to you. Basically, what they ask for is simply to improve transparency, to incorporate climate change data into their projections and into their work identifying how they're going to address combined sewer overflow through the long-term control plan that's currently underway, and thinking about projects that can get to the root of the cause. So thinking more about separation, which also creates jobs, and considering something like a stormwater utility fee so that our larger landowners who have a lot of impervious surfaces can help contribute to managing stormwater, which is really the root of the problem with combined sewer overflow. So we're doing a lot on this. We'd love to work with you. If you have the postcards, we ask that you not necessarily mail them directly, but get them back to us so that we can collect them, figure out how many we have, and then hand deliver them to Worcester City Council, and also let DPW and other partners know the amount of support that we've gathered around this topic. Also in combined sewer overflow, Mass Rivers is having a CSO summit coming up on Wednesday, April 29th at the Beechwood Hotel in Worcester. So their goal is to bring together communities and stakeholders that work on CSO and to strengthen collaboration and learn from one another. So we'd love to have you attend. If you haven't registered yet, we can get you the link for that. And it's coming up soon. Anything else on CSO specifically that folks want to share? Okay, we've got a couple other water quality updates. One is that Mass DEP is looking for specifically impaired lakes that are interested in creating a 9-element watershed-based plan or a 604B plan. So this is what we're creating for the whole Blackstone watershed in Massachusetts, but we're doing it at a really big scale with the plan to be able to kind of zoom in and do other smaller watershed-based plans after that. So DEP is looking specifically for impaired lakes so that they can focus in on that smaller scale. So if you're interested, reach out to DEP or go to one of these two public information sessions coming up on April 27th and 28th. And Judy, I don't know if you want to mention anything about this.
Oh, there we go. I don't know that I really have anything to add that you haven't already said, other than that, we do have funding to develop two plans. So we are looking for candidate lakes that are impaired. This is our total maximum daily load section is leading this. So if you had any questions, you could contact someone from that program.
Thanks, Judy. And we don't have a lot of watershed-based plans that are in our area. I know Manchac Pond Foundation has one, and if you were at the Blackstone River Coalition's Water Quality Summit, which is our next slide. That was a really great event, very successful on March 28th. We had over 60 people attend. And one of those speakers was Phyllis Charpentier from Manchac Pond Foundation. And a lot of her presentation was about how many different projects they've been able to complete with 319 funding. And they can use that 319 funding and are eligible for it because they have a watershed-based plan. So it was a really great unintentional plug for watershed-based plans that we appreciated hearing. So Peter or Heather, I don't know if you want to mention anything else about your BRC updates.
I think everything's pretty much on this slide. We had our first sampling this past weekend and it was, or on April 11th, and it was luckily no snow this year, so that was good. Yeah, everything else is pretty much in there. Thank you for everybody that came to the meeting and spoke, and it was really great.
Thanks, Heather. And if you remember, after the BRC's Water Quality Summit, we also had our watershed-based plan kickoff, which was also really successful. We appreciate everybody coming and working with FB Environmental and Horsley Witten to facilitate that and get everybody's information. We'll be following up with some next steps on that when we know more of when our next outreach event is. But certainly, we're taking all the information that we learned from that in informing this watershed-based plan. And one interesting thing that came up is that um, private septic systems are definitely a problem. And when someone asked me about that, I was like, "Oh, we don't really worry about septic too much in the Blackstone," but not true. We just don't focus on it. So it's a good reminder of sometimes there are a lot of other factors that we're not always considering. Peter.
Yes, Stephanie. Did this was under academic partnerships. Heather and I met with a professor from Holy Cross, and so they're very anxious or eager to find projects for their students to work on. So while we have a lot of data that they could help interpret, I think the opportunity is there for other projects, and Holy Cross is very well suited for that. So reach out to us if you got anything that would be appropriate for Holy Cross.
Great. Thanks, Peter. That actually reminds me, I didn't put it on there, but a few partners have also been reached out to by a professor at Clark University, Tina Gerhart, Professor Tina Gerhart, who's started a class this past year on specifically the Blackstone River. And she's been incorporating site visits and sort of the indigenous and colonial histories, the pollution history, the advocacy, kind of a little bit of everything. So we went into her class this past semester, and she plans on continuing that class, which is really exciting. It wasn't just a one-off, which I thought it might be in the beginning, but hopefully that helps center placemaking and the Blackstone River as part of being at Clark University in Worcester in the headwaters. So that's pretty exciting as well. Anything else on water quality? Elsie.
Thanks. I just wanted to piggyback on Peter mentioning Bill Sobczak at Holy Cross. He'll be giving a talk at Worcester State at the Gosh Science Center on May 6th. It's Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. And he will be talking about the Blackstone River in general, but also specifically tailored to the headwaters of the Tatnick Brook area. So I welcome all of you to pass the word and hope you can come.
Great. Thanks, Elsie. If you have a link for that, we can share it in the notes if possible.
All right. I don't have a link. I'm sorry to say.
That's okay. We can poke around too.
Katie said she would be passing the word as well.
Perfect.
So maybe I can get something from her to you.
That's perfect. Thanks, Elsie. Anything else on water quality? So for dam removal and restoration, we wanted to announce that we got an award. We're really just being the fiscal sponsor for this, but through Mass Rivers, they offered some technical assistance to help develop an early stage feasibility study for dam removal. And so Bill Giannopoulos is the private owner, or he's the owner of this privately owned dam, Linwood Pond Dam, which is actually the one in Heather's background, if you want to see it again. But the dam owner has been interested in exploring removal for many years and has applied for a couple of other grant opportunities that haven't gone through. And he was really excited about being able to apply for this one. So this includes, let me look at my notes here. Nope, I'm not gonna be able to find it in time. That's okay. It's early stage though, so they do some site reconnaissance. They do sort of this study of understanding what are the sediment concerns, what are the infrastructure concerns, how sediment quality, how much of it is there, what is community outreach and engagement, who would be opposed, who would be pro, how can we navigate that? So it's like a touching on all of these different topic areas, and at the end they'll put together a technical report. This is through Park Corporation that Mass Rivers has hired. So they'll put together a technical report that outlines sort of next steps, and they're calling it sort of a starter kit of how to advance dam removal design and implementation for these different sites. So thank you to Mass Rivers for supporting that. And again, the collaborative is really just the fiscal sponsor for this. So we're kind of sharing information between the parties, but it's right in the heart of our watershed in Northbridge, Massachusetts. Also, Heidi, I put this in here from Mass Audubon's update and on your website, so I have the link down there. But Mass Ready Act is through Senate Ways and Means, just as you mentioned, and I know it's going to the House next. So hopefully we can get it passed in the House as well, and then have an update about everything that includes, including, as you mentioned, the rodenticide bill as well as the drought management bill. So there's a lot in there, and it sounds like maybe some challenging aspects as well about the local wetlands permitting, but a lot going on
Yes.
there. Yeah. Is
So
there anything
yeah,
else you
so
want to mention?
the full Senate adopted it the other day, and it did include the streamlining provisions under MIPA Chapter 91 and the Wetlands Protection Act, but it also includes some provisions saying that for the priority housing projects, municipalities can't regulate wetlands or wastewater more stringently than the state regulations. So that would negate local bylaws. And then there's another provision that says that for all discretionary grants from the state, municipalities have to follow standard guidelines still to be written about local zoning and other kinds of bylaws, including wetlands. Um, and yeah, it would be a like a preferential in the assessment of grant applications, like the percent or whatever, like giving preference to communities that comply. So I'm very concerned about those provisions, but there's a lot of good in the bill and a lot of money as well.
Yeah, it also will include a lot of funding for infrastructure updates, such as
Yes.
culverts replacements. Yep.
Yep.
Thanks, Heidi. Hopefully, like I said, we can get a better update on this once it's complete and we know the shakedown of what went through.
Yeah, and on the regulatory front, I just was talking with the DEP staff a couple days ago, and the Climate Resilience 1.0 regs to update the stormwater standards still are not finalized, and they couldn't really tell us like how to shake them loose other than to continue to write to the governor about it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe if people get their legislators to contact the governor, I don't know if that would help. I'm just concerned that whole thing is going to die on the vine.
Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that as well. We were recently over the last weekend at the Worcester County Climate Action Summit. I had my hand raised. I was not called on to be able to ask that question. So apologies. But
Yeah.
when we did table sessions later and people thought about what are sort of your top three priorities to be able to move forward and um, you know, address climate change in central Massachusetts, our table's top three included streamlining wetlands restoration projects such as culvert replacement, dam removal, other restoration projects like what Broadmeadow Brook is doing. And that was our number one. So we hope that
Right.
that's kind of carried forward, and this is something that Mass Audubon and others can lead us on. So thanks.
Thank you.
Also on dam removal, so RICA, the Rhode Island Canoe and Kayak Association, is having their annual meeting coming up next Thursday, the 23rd, and it's specifically going to be about dam removal. So Chuck Horbert from DEM will be talking about dam removals in Rhode Island. So we don't get a lot of those, so that's exciting to think about having DEM talk about dam removal. And then our upcoming events, we have so many. We had a really successful event on Monday, which I have a picture of in a minute, at American Flatbread in Worcester. It was a great fundraiser with pizza and bowling. Next Monday, so just in a few days, we have our trivia night at Blackstone at Narragansett Brewing, and it'll be sort of Blackstone themed and river themed trivia. So we're looking forward to that. We have a hike coming up at the gorge. I've somehow actually never been and hiked at the Blackstone Gorge, so I'm really looking forward to that. It's supposed to be a very beautiful place. Then, of course, as I mentioned, our fish carafe night coming up ahead of our parade. And then looking into June, we've got yoga and kayaking coming up as well. So this was our fundraiser. We thanks to Kaylee and Kevin for helping set this up and run it. We had maybe like 15 or 20 people come at some point, cycling throughout the night. So thanks for stopping by. I had never been bowling there before, but it's classic Worcester candlepin bowling. So that was a lot of fun. And I encourage you to check them out every Tuesday or every other Tuesday. They have fundraisers at American Flatbread where they support a few dollars from every pizza that they sell goes to a local nonprofit. So we thank them for their support. We don't know how much we made yet, but we'll find out soon. For grant, anything else on restoration that folks want to mention? Okay. For grants, we are waiting on a few grants. So one is the DER partnership program. We've got our fingers and toes crossed on this one. This would support capacity, thinking about restoration projects across the Massachusetts portion of the watershed, and it would provide capacity funding for 5 to 10 years. So it would be a big game changer for us. We also helped with several different Eco One-Stop applications for MVP and culvert replacement in both Grafton and Douglas. And then we also applied to the NBAP's Watershed Education Outreach Grant. As Danielle mentioned, we know that's a really competitive one. There's a lot of need for this work out there. But we're hoping to, if we do get that award, we would contract to get a part-time, like a 1099 employee to do science communication and engagement. So making everything we do a little bit better and a little bit more fun and engaging and crafty. We have an existing volunteer that's looking to step up their hours a bit. This is one that I wanted to say is one of our big professional goals and wins lately is we had told you before that we received funding from the Narragansett Bay Estuary Program to do sediment testing. And we've been putting together that RFP and it just went live this week. So you can see it on our news page. And we're hoping to hire a consultant to help take sediment samples to train our staff to do sediment sampling and then to review all of our results and put them into context of what does this really mean? Where are opportunities where we can see potentially looking at passive sediment release where quality is not too bad and it's similar above and below dams. We're only doing this in the Massachusetts side. The dams are smaller. It's easier to get to. There's more opportunity for restoration funding. So we're hoping to do several different points along the river. So maybe 20 different points, meaning like 10 different locations, somewhere between like 10 and 15 locations. And also potentially looking at, okay, we know this is a hot spot. What are the precautions that we should take at these specific locations? So we don't have a lot of information about sediment, and we're really hoping this provides us with a good baseline to start and then make some decisions around next steps and then continue this moving forward so that we can continue gathering data. So if you are a consultant, if you know consultants, feel free to share this with them. The responses are due on May 18th. Okay, we have a few partner updates that folks asked us to share, and then I will hand it off to all of you. So speaking of sediment, Nature Conservancy and American Rivers have an event coming up called Understanding Sediment Management on April 23rd. So looking at considerations for planning, compliance, implementation, and we'll have a panel to talk about some specific examples and bring together different practitioners, regulators, and partners. So we encourage you to check that out. Also, Mass Department of Public Health has a conference coming up that's specifically about collaboration and connecting to build healthy communities. It's in our watershed right in Worcester on June 17th. So we encourage you to check that out. I think they're still looking for speakers as well if you wanted to offer any presentations. And we also wanted to share the Catalyst Fund had an impact study that recently was release. So they've been working on this for over a year now. And Catalyst Fund via the Network for Landscape Conservation was one of our really early funders when the collaborative first started. And their funding actually helped us hire Kaylee and be able to keep her. So we love them very much. And their report that came out about the impacts of collaboratives was not surprising to us, being a collaborative and understanding this, but it's nice to have someone do some academic research and support it so that we can put this information into our future grants. So if this is helpful for you, if you need to apply for funding for capacity and you need some information to back up why it's important, this is a great resource. What they said, I'm just going to share a couple bullet points, was collaborative capacity investments are long-term, highly strategic, and compounding investments in accelerating the delivery of on-the-ground conservation, stewardship, and restoration outcomes. They're proven vehicles to be able to scale up, accelerate, and sustain conservation and stewardship impact. Capacity is a critical driver of impact. So if you spend the money on people, you can make the bigger impact in the long run. And fostering practitioner capacity specifically is vitally important. So being able to support one another to learn more together is critical to be able to create bigger impacts in the watershed. So this is why we do what we do. This is why we believe in this model of a collaborative. So this is gold for us. And I encourage you to check it out and look through the full report. There's a lot of really great information in there. A couple more for you guys. So Pequog Comes Home is an event that's happening run by the Nipmuc who run Pequog Farm in Orange, Massachusetts. So we encourage you to check it out. It's outside the watershed, but it's run by the tribe that is very central to our watershed. Saturday, April 25th. So not this Saturday, but the one after. Another event coming up is the Pawtucket Riverfront Commission with Mayor Grebian and the Blackstone Valley Tourism Council's Bob Billington are putting together this Tidewater Riverway Symposium. So they're trying to bring different thought leaders together and practitioners who work in the lower Blackstone to think about how to create a sort of connected riverfront. Unfortunately, it is the same day as the Rhode Island Flood Managers Association conference, so I will not be able to attend, but I know some of our staff and partners will be there. I encourage you to sign up and to go. There's limited space available, so the sooner the better. This will be on Thursday, May 14th, down in Pawtucket. And then I think this is last but not least, Friends of the Blackstone, come tomorrow. They're having an open house Earth Day festival. I heard that they have hundreds of hot dogs and they're trying to get them out. So show up hungry. And there'll be a lot of different activities. They'll be looking at a machine that was built with the Nipmuc. There's hikes available. You can check out their education center. They'll talk about water quality monitoring because that's one of the sites with BRC, fossils, and all sorts of fun stuff. So we encourage you to check that out from, this is 10 to 4, 10 to 4, I guess. I think a lot of the activities are in the afternoon. Okay, I talked for a really long time, but thanks for listening to all those different updates. And I'll hand it off to you guys if you'd like to share. Peter. Oh, we lost your audio again, Peter.
How's that?
Oh, there you go.
Okay. The Blackstone River Watershed Association is having like their 10th annual Family Fun Fishing Day at Riverbend Farm. So that'll be May 16th, maybe the day after your next meeting. And that'll be an all day, and it works with Open Sky. It's great. Gets hundreds of kids and out on the river fishing.
Yes, sorry, apologies for not having that in there. That's a really great event. Absolutely support that. Unfortunately, we collided our days of it's also our fish parade. But if you want to go lower in the watershed, you got the fish parade. If you want to stay upper in the watershed, you can go to Family Fun Fishing Day. Both really wonderful events. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else have any updates or opportunities? Yeah, Danica.
I just wanted to quickly share a webinar that the SNAP Network is hosting next week on the applying the watershed protection standard. So this is about, and you may have heard about it before in previous meetings, but the watershed protection standard, it has like stormwater design standards for how to incorporate better stormwater management practices into new development so that it protects water quality. And it's really focused on like cost-effective solutions that can be adopted. So the webinar we're doing next week is more focused on like the design standards. So it's really geared towards engineers and those who are designing or maybe permitting development projects, but I just want to share it anyway. I'll put a link in the chat. But also we have a toolkit on our website that you can get at that link that talks about the watershed protection standard. And we have not only design standards for engineers, but we also have resources for municipalities and how to kind of update your regulations to encourage better stormwater practices and public outreach templates and materials around it, around the importance of stormwater management for protecting water quality. So it's a really great resource, kind of new, and we're trying to get it out there. So if you know anyone who might be interested in this upcoming webinar, please share. And if you're interested and you missed the earlier, we had a more general webinar that's about the watershed protection standard. That's on the recording is on our website, so you can access that there as well.
Thanks, Danica. Yeah, that's a good one. That was in our newsletter. And we did like a pseudo quick presentation about it several meetings ago and did a screen share. So it's a really great tool. And I think these webinars are so important because it often feels very complex, but if you can go through the webinar and kind of hear from the speakers and answer your questions, it seems a little more manageable. So thanks. Sarah and CL.
Thanks, Steph. Yeah, I just wanted to share a climate advocacy opportunity for Worcester. The city manager has proposed a moratorium on the specialized stretch code that holds developers accountable. I don't fully understand the code, but as I understand it, it holds developers accountable to building infrastructure using renewable energy. So they're proposing putting a hold on it for a year. And it's on the agenda for the next council meeting on the 28th. And so the folks organizing around it are just encouraging people to like either connect with their counselors before next, or not this coming Tuesday, but the Tuesday after, or show up to that council meeting to speak in opposition to the moratorium.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. It's interesting timing. I know at the Worcester County Climate Action Summit, we had Chief Hopper speaking about how important that stretch code was and how effective it's been and how developers are doing this in so many places, even when it's not required, because it just makes financial sense to make the investment early in having this renewable energy and having really tight homes that don't use a lot of energy. But yeah, it's challenging to see that Worcester's interested in not doing that. So I know a lot of folks have been speaking out against it. So thanks for sharing. Heather.
Hi. So I also am just wanted to share a quick update for the BRWA education team. So we've been working with well, traditionally BRWA has done watershed education in classrooms for years. But this past year we're included in two MVP grants, one for the city of Worcester and one for Uxbridge. And we've been able to go do programs there along with some of our other programs. So we're by the end of the year, we should reach over 1,000 students in the watershed through this. Yeah. And this morning, actually, we've recently added a part where we partner with the DPWs and in each town, and so Worcester has been very involved where the one of the engineers actually comes and like presents to the kids, but which is awesome. But then the part that they love is then we go out in the street by the school and the kids see a catch basin dredger truck come and clean all the gunk that ends up in the stormwater system. So that's where I was this morning, but it's a great partnership, and we'll be going doing lots of presentations until the end of school, basically. So,
I love it. Thanks, Heather. If
yeah.
you get any good pictures, feel free to share those with us. I have
Oh,
one from
yeah.
a catch basin cleanout with students a couple years ago, and we love to share that.
Yeah.
Thanks. Drew.
Hi everyone, Drew Powell here with RIDEM. Just wanted to say that RIDEM's Climate Resilience Fund went live on Thursday. This funds projects that are focused on improving climate resilience in coastal zones, river watersheds, and other habitats. Both nonprofits and municipalities are eligible, and projects can request up to 350K. I believe projects or applications are due on May 15th, and I can put the link in the chat for more information.
I hadn't heard that, so thank you for sharing. We've been waiting for that one. Um, yeah, if Rhode Island communities, we've met with several and talked about some priority projects, so we've got some in mind. But if you know of others in Rhode Island who are interested in applying to this, whether they need assistance with the application or just a letter of support, please let us know. And right now, I think we're working with the town of Cumberland to advance a project looking at the Peterson Puritan Superfund site and helping come up with a design that can work both for EPA as well as the community and create some public space there during the capping process. Judy.
Yeah, this is sort of a pre-announcement. We're targeting to release our Clean Water Act Section 604B Water Quality Management Planning Grant and our 319 Non-Point Source Implementation Grant. Probably towards the end of June. And we will be scheduling a pre-RFP informational meeting ahead of those for folks that are interested in learning more about each grant. And that will probably be sometime mid-May. Just kind of wanted to plant the seeds. We don't have firm release dates yet because we're still going through the whole review process with upper management. But if anyone has any projects that they have in mind, now is the time to reach out to our grant coordinators and talk about your projects, and they'll kind of help to give you some guidance to make your proposals competitive.
Thanks, Judy. And that one of those funds, the watershed-based plan one, is what's funding the collaborative and Horsley Witten to go through the watershed-based planning process in Massachusetts right now. So great program. Encourage you to apply. Sarah.
Thank you. Thanks, Stephanie. I really enjoyed this whole meeting and the presentations. I know a young man, a very intelligent and talented young man who went to my grad school program, Tufts UEP. He graduated last May and he is searching for a job, part-time or full-time. And I think that his talent is going to waste a little bit because right now he is doing DoorDash, and I think he really deserves a chance, an opportunity. So I want to take a moment to highlight my friend Mason Tomko. I met him at a business plan competition where he presented his own innovation. He developed a probiotic for water bodies, lakes, and ponds that is an alternative to herbicide. And he did that all fully self-funded. So Mason has a background in water chemistry, environmental science. He earned a Master of Science in Sustainability from Tufts UEP. So if you all know of any job opportunities or even an internship in Massachusetts or Rhode Island, please reach out to him directly.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry, go ahead, Judy.
Yeah, we actually just yesterday released the advertisement for our summer seasonals for the watershed planning program. These are the folks that go out and work with our water quality monitoring team. It's only, I shouldn't say it's full-time, but it's a term limited position. It's, just through the monitoring season. But sorry, if he lives within driving distance of Worcester and is interested in doing some field work this summer, I would encourage him to apply.
Thank you, Judy. Could you say that program name again?
Yeah, it's the watershed planning program. I think we call them engineering aid ones. So if he goes to uh, the Commonwealth of Mass hiring webpage. He'll find it there. I'll see if I can dig up the email and pull the link out really quickly. I'll pop it in the chat if I can find it. Otherwise, I think I've got your email, and I'll email that information to you directly if I can't find it before the meeting wraps.
Yes, ssing@serpid.org. Thank you, Judy.
Yeah, sorry,
You're
you're getting lit up in the chat as well. So Sarah posted something from Mass Audubon hiring summer climate interns. Allison posted about Rhode Island, various different environmental jobs available. So definitely check out those resources. I know that the collabs notes have gosh, Kaylee, it must be probably 2 pages long of different job opportunities that are available that are all different levels and expertise, but there might be something in there. MACC is a great job, has a great job board in their newsletter. Mass Land Trust Coalition, I think, usually has one. Mass Rivers has one. Mass ECAN, Ecosystem Climate Adaptation Network, they list climate specific jobs in their newsletter. So tons of opportunities out there. I hope that he finds one that's a good fit. Thanks for highlighting that. It sounds like a neat project. Anything else that folks want to share? Questions, resources, opportunities? Okay. I feel like this was such a jam-packed meeting. There was so much in there. So it's a good highlight of the opportunity of what we can do and learn from one another, bringing all this together. So thank you all for coming, and we will see you at our next meeting on May 15th. If you want to come on Monday and do some brewery trivia, we would love to see you at Narragansett Brewing on Monday at 7 also, but hopefully we'll see you again soon sometime. Take care, everybody.
Bye.